It's Melissa from Gilda's Club, Grand Rapids, and we hope that you're all doing well today, adjusting to that back to school schedule. I know that everyone, I think just about everybody in our community is back to school. Jasmine, you guys are back to school, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I hope that you're all finding ways to stay safe, to help with the anxiety and adjustment back to school, and that you're all doing really well. If you're watching this program, we would love to know that you're here. Just like our post, even if you're watching it afterward. If you have a question for our guest or about our topic, we'd love to talk with you. Just let us know, write the question in the comment section, and we'll make sure that if it's in the moment, that we'll ask our guest about that. If it's later, we'll get back to you with that question. And if you're new to Gilda's Club, we are a cancer and grief support community. Everything that we offer to our community is 100% free. If you'd like to get connected with us or want more information about that, you can give us a call at 453-8300 or look on our website at gildasclubgr.org. All right, well, today our topic is that it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month for the whole month of September. So we're pretty excited to be able to highlight this. And the ribbon for this particular cancer or awareness is gold. And Jasmine has a great way to show this. And Jasmine, why is it gold?
To be honest, this shirt is from the American Cancer Society, or American Childhood Cancer Society. So they say children are more precious than gold. So my shirt says for my daughter's name is Jerimya. So it says Jerimya is more precious than gold.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that. It just brings a big smile to my face.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So we just have a few statistics we're going to go over, and then I'll introduce you to Jasmine, even though we've already been talking. So childhood cancer is relatively rare if you look at the statistics from the adult cancer diagnosis. So we're glad to know that this is a relatively rare happening. Approximately 1 in 285 children will be diagnosed in the US before their 20th birthday. In the US, almost 16,000 children will be diagnosed each year. And also that 40,000 children are in active treatment at any given time in the US. And worldwide, every 3 minutes, a child is diagnosed with cancer. So it may be rare, but it is happening. And so we wanted to just bring awareness to that. We would like to talk about what this is like, this experience. And I have with me today a member of Gilda's Club named Jasmine Monroe. And she is the mother of Jerimya, or Maya Leisure, who is a brain and spinal cord tumor survivor. And welcome, Jasmine. It's so great to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm so excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, well, we just are so grateful for your willingness and bravery to come here to Facebook Live and to talk about your experience with Maya and the whole cancer realm and treatment, and really just appreciate that moment of being able to bring awareness to our community and to have this open dialogue about it. So yeah. So why don't we just go ahead and dive right in? And do you want to tell us about what was it that brought your attention to that something might be happening with Maya?
Yeah. So to put a long story kind of short as we can, we only have a few minutes, I know. So we had problems. So first off, Maya was diagnosed March 7th, 2017 when she was 4. We had problems with her growing developmentally and everything that she needed to do ever since she was born. Wouldn't walk right. She never crawled. She kind of scooted, but later on, just after her 4th birthday, she started really walking really weird. You know, every kid is different. Every kid grows their own. Every kid has their own way of doing the thing. But, you know, hers something was happening. We could tell. So we brought her to her pediatrician in January. And her neck was kind of like this. And they thought that maybe she had just slept on it funny, you know, like us adults do. Sometimes we just wake up with a kink in our neck.
Yeah.
A week later, we took her back, still had this kink in her neck. They didn't know why. Well, they thought that they might get an x-ray to figure out, you know, what's going on. And they thought that maybe she had scoliosis, which was later to be confirmed. But we didn't understand why she just all of a sudden, you know, one day she was fine, the next day she wasn't. So they got the x-rays, they got the scoliosis confirmed. They sent her to a referral at Helen DeVos Orthopedics, and they did further investigation as to what happened. And they set up an MRI date in March. And at this time it was February. And at this time, she was not moving. She was not mobile. She would lay on the couch all day long, couldn't even stand to watch TV because she was in so much pain and so kinked up. We had to carry her to the bathroom. Just so much. She took cold baths because she couldn't stand the heat of a warm bath. Even lukewarm was scalding hot to her. So something was definitely affecting her nerves. And her pediatrician couldn't figure out why. Well, come to find out in March, when her orthopedic finally ordered the MRI, we waited months and months because you know how long it takes to get in for an MRI.
Right.
Even in, you know, in this emergency kind of like cases, you know. So we got that MRI that night, March 7th, 2017. The orthopedic called me, and this was a Tuesday, I remember. He called me, it was around 7 p.m. and he said, so I looked at your MRI, at Maya's MRI, and she has a large golf ball sized mass in her neck, and my world just stopped. It was just like out of a movie, you know. It's just like, you know, on your phone, and you just like start shaking, you know, like what?
Right. Almost like that can't be true, right?
What does that mean, right? You
right.
know?
Yeah.
And so he told us that we would be meeting with a neurosurgeon the following day. And so we met with the neurosurgeon that Wednesday, the next following day. And he had told us that, you know, it's important that we get this out as soon as we can, and possibly start chemo depending on the pathology report we find during surgery. Okay. So we scheduled that. So our MRI was on the 7th with our orthopedic. Our first meeting with the neurosurgeon was on Wednesday, the 8th. And on the following Thursday, the 15th, she had surgery to remove the tumor, which ended up being about 8 inches long. The majority of it was in the back of her neck and mind you, this is a child. So, you know, they aren't very tall at 4 years old, you know, and I'm not a tall person either. So, they did from about the base of her neck to the middle of her back. It was about 8 inches long, about the width of like in between a Sharpie and a pencil, about that wide, that long. Sure. And they sent it in for the pathology, and they came back that it was a pilocytic astrocytoma with anaplastic features. Meant that it wasn't a low-grade tumor, it wasn't a high-grade tumor, it was both. And so they basically told us that the tumor that she most likely had since being born, which kind of all culminated, you know, in this time where like, oh my gosh, all these problems she's had all her life is from this we never even knew.
Yeah.
And it was so surreal. Our God is so good. Our prayers were finally answered. All our questions were answered. And we finally just, everything just clicked. And so,
so I'm going to stop you there for a second, because I think that's important. Like, you get this news over the phone, and then it's you're used to this waiting, and all of a sudden it's a whirlwind, like boom, 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 boom. Yep. Things are happening. It feels unreal. It feels like, can this possibly be true? Is this really happening? Like you're in a dream, right? And then once you get the plan, it sounds like all of a sudden you're like, oh, we have a roadmap. We know where we're going. We know what the destination is. We've got the information, and it seems to sort of settle you.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
A little bit, yes. A little bit of our questions were answered, but a little bit more, facing the unknown. Basically her tumor itself had mutated into a separate type of tumor, because she, so the low grade and the high grade. So they told us they didn't know whether they should do chemo or radiation, because a high grade is typically one route and a low grade is typically another route with just chemo, and the high grade is chemo, radiation, surgery. So the doctors decided to do the least invasive, which would be surgery and chemo, not radiation, because radiating that much of the spine that young, she'd basically be that short for the rest of her life, because nothing would grow. So we did 10 rounds of chemo, which ended up being about a year and a half. So we ended about August of 2018, I believe. And we had our ports in, we got our ports out, we had, her surgery to remove the bulk of the tumor. We stayed in the hospital for 5 days. Then we moved to rehabilitation for about 2 months. During this time, which we found out I was pregnant. Wow. And so that was another thing in and of itself. It's like, we can't be pregnant right now. We got this thing going on. So that's just life, something happens and something else gets thrown your way. So
right.
It was good. But so here I am, a few months pregnant. I never left her side. She's been my baby ever since I had her when I was 16, and she's been my baby ever since. And so my 4-year-old Maya, she's laying in, the rehabilitation hospital. I stayed with her in the same hospital bed with her the whole time. I was never going to leave her. I was fortunate enough that my fiance was able to work and keep up going. This is my little one here.
Hello.
You can go play, okay? So we were able to be fortunate enough that I was able to stay in the hospital with her the whole time, because some parents aren't able to do that. In order to keep up with hospital bills and everything, they have to both be working, and neither one of them can be in the hospital. They can only, visit after work or, just before, but just between meals, et cetera, et cetera. So we were very fortunate that I was able to stay next to her the whole time. I was so glad. Yeah. But she's doing good now. She's, we're about 2 to 3 years out of treatment. They say when we get to the 5-year mark, which our MRI is coming up September 24th. It used to be every 2 to 3 months, and then it got spaced out to 6 months, and we kept seeing good results, no recurrence or anything. So we've moved it out to yearly now. Will be our first yearly MRI.
Wow.
Since last September. And so that's nervous for me, but it's a good thing. We're moving forward. She continues to do good. She still has scoliosis. She has kyphosis as well. So she has to wear day and night braces. During the summer, we try to avoid wearing them, which is bad because it doesn't help the curve when it progresses. But she has to wear them 24 hours so that maybe in coming into adolescence, she's probably going to have another surgery for her scoliosis that the tumor caused to, so when the tumor was growing in her back, the reason why we jumped on it so fast when we did is the one day that she was fine, the next day she was all kinked up, crying, hurting, screaming. So they think that it was a slow growing tumor, but it finally grew to the point where it pinched a certain nerve in her spinal cord to kink up like that.
Sure.
But so her spine is still affected from that and from the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're hoping to try to avoid further surgery with wearing these braces, but it's not, it's not guaranteed. So we're still not completely away from, we're moving up, but we're not completely out of the dark yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You still will. It sounds like pretty much for the rest of her life, she'll have to sort of take extra care around the site and because of the cancer. She'll have certain health concerns that she'll just have to stay on top of, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not, when you survive cancer, it's not just all daisies and butterflies. It's still, you still have ugly parts, even though you're through the cancer treatment, you still have struggles. Yeah.
So this is long-term, not just a short-term one and done kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So what was that like as a mom to be with her? And what really helped you during those times? Because that sounds really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So at the time I was about 20 to 21. So I mean, I'm still very young myself. I was very fortunate to have my mom help me raise her when I was younger, and I moved out when I was about 18, when she was 2. And so being a young mom alone is hard enough, but being a young mom of a cancer child is another thing itself. You try to ask your mom for help, oh, well, what do I do if she's fussy? What do I do if, you always ask your mom for help, but my mom wasn't able to help me because she didn't have a child with cancer. So she's like, I don't have any advice for you. I'm sorry. And, it's like, she wasn't leaving me in the dark, and I was still able, still a good support system, but it's different. You're not just raising a kid, you're raising a child with cancer, and it's a different roadmap. And you can't discipline the same. You can't make them eat their veggies and stuff because the chemo affects them and it's very hard, and it affects their taste buds and the way they sense things. And it's traumatic. But God, I solely relied on God. God is so good. He's been so good to us. We have firm belief in Jesus dying for our sins and saving us. And there's no other way to explain it than just God held us in that time, and it is always holding us. I just remember one specific day that I went to church, and I just prayed. I said, whatever you have, Lord, for us, whatever our path is going to be for this cancer, may it be for your glory. Whether it's somebody coming to Jesus through learning her journey, or her providing another kid coming to Jesus and learning about him through this cancer diagnosis. My whole thing is just, make life positive, even though crappy things do happen. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's always for a reason. It's always to make you stronger, make your faith stronger, and maybe bring somebody else to faith. I try not to be very selfish. I try to be, like, what good could this do? Even though it's crappy for us, I don't want to say kind of like, I feel so sorry for myself. I want somebody else to learn from it. And this is why I appreciate this time to be talking about it, as well as, it's okay to go through bad things and get through it,
I'm just going to interject here is that two things is that it is really important when you have an experience like this to find a way to create some meaning around it, that it helps us as humans, as moms, as parents, as fellow travelers to manage our emotional experience and the actual events too, is that when we find some meaning for that, and it can be different for everyone. For you, it's your faith. You and your family, it's your faith. And for other people, it might be other things, building strength, resiliency, helping, with the knowledge of how to really treat for other kids or whatever that might be. So it's just really good to hear that your family has found some comfort in that meaning of building your faith for you. And are there other things that helped you, other parents who were in the same kind of situation along the way? I know that you were a member at Gilda's Club.
Yes, we went to Gilda's Club kind of towards the end of Jeremiah's treatment because her treatment days were on Thursdays. So if for those that don't know, Gilda's cancer night kind of where you go in, you can talk with other cancer families, you can have a dinner. This was before pre-COVID. Have a dinner made for you. You as a mom didn't have to focus on making dinner for your kids, making sure they ate, making sure they got along with their siblings. You could just, for me, it was, you could just go in, they could eat a brownie, whatever for dinner, and you didn't have to worry about making the salad, making the chicken, making the pizza, whatever it was, picking up dinner. You just came to Gilda's. And then for me, it was just such a release that I was able to talk with other people. Now in Gilda's Club, I think there was only about one other family who had a childhood cancer experience. The other ones were just general adult cancers, but that's okay. We still were relatable in our experiences and heard one another and conversated about each other's experiences and learn from that. And it was just a way to vent and just kind of just let go of the week, which was kind of unfortunate that we weren't able to go until later in treatment because the beginning of her treatment, was really intense. And so she would go in for chemo. We'd be there all day on Thursday. And so the Gilda's meetings wasn't until 5:30 to have dinner, and then meetings from like 6 to 7 or so. And so my girls were able to play downstairs in the
Nogi land.
Yes, it's been so long, I forgot. I was gonna call it the kingdom, but it's like decorated like a castle. It's awesome. They loved it. And Jerimya was able to experience other kids her age and just socialize, because she didn't get a chance to socialize yet because we were all excluded kind of in the chemo ward
And I do want to say that is pretty typical, Jasmine, is that when families are in active treatment, there often isn't a lot of space around being able to get out of the house or do anything other than go to treatment and come home and manage the side effects from treatment and all of that. And so, and typically near the end of treatment or even after treatment is done, that families will come to Gilda's Club. And that piece of being able to just come and relax, let go, let somebody else help you by making the dinner, by watching the kids, and you being able to connect with other adults, have a safe, confidential, emotionally safe space to just say whatever you need to say. Because I love those issues you brought up of, discipline and socialization and your own emotional journey. It's not that you're just dealing with your child's diagnosis. You're really dealing with a whole slew of other things and trying to manage those too. How do you tell them no? How do you feed them? How do you do all of that? Yeah,
that's what they say. It's never just cancer. It's everything else. It's what comes after that also. It's not just ever just cancer, right?
That's right. And those are very similar issues that people who are also on a grief journey will ask, is that how, is this grief or is this just developmentally they're just having their moment and I need to set a boundary here? I don't know, And so it's really important to be able to talk with other people about that and get some input around that and some support.
Other people saying it's okay, I understand, me too, you know, kind of thing. It's and no judgment either. Just being able to just spew, you know, sometimes you just need to be able to spew to other people. So that really, really helped. And other people just like, yes, oh my gosh, that happened to me this week too. Or, just they know exactly what you're going through. It's perfect.
Yeah. So knowing you're not alone.
Yes.
In this, is really important. I'm so glad. It's very cool that you were open to that kind of support. And so then you have this piece of your support of your faith and then support of community members and allowing yourself to just lean into that in a very difficult time. I mean, our job as parents is to keep our kids safe and, and so this, on every level as a parent, it will impact us. Yeah. And what a brave and incredible person to be able to face that as a parent is one thing. And then to be 18 years old and hearing, or 21 years old, even. Yeah. That's incredible. It just shows what integrity and character and resilience you have, Jasmine.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. And I am 100% sure you are passing that down to your children and showing them how to manage things with grace and humility and being human.
Yes.
And that's very neat. So what's something that you might give advice to someone who maybe their child, they have a concern about their child? That could be one part of the advice, right? Because you went through that piece of what is this? And then after diagnosis, what's a piece of advice you might give someone?
Advocate for your child. I kind of skimmed over this, but for years she went undiagnosed. They pushed it off as something else. So just advocate for your child. Get a second opinion. If you feel like something is wrong and the doctor is just brushing it off, go to a different doctor. That make yourself available to a doctor who will validate your concerns about your child. Even though they're doctors, they still make mistakes. And I don't hold no malice towards our pediatrician. We still attend there. Everybody makes a mistake. In childhood cancer, nobody's ever, when you're looking at, symptoms for a strep throat, maybe runny nose, swollen lymph nodes, fever, okay, strep throat. Well, cancer is not as black and white as that, and so it's not as easy to diagnose, and that you're never looking to diagnose cancer, right? Nobody's ever looking to diagnose that. So it's just easily missed. So just, have an open conversation with your child's doctors. And for the second part, afterwards, if you ever are diagnosed, just there's so many community resources in doctor's office that they can give you. Ours was Gilda's Club. Another one was the Children's Healing Center, which is a phenomenal place for childhood cancer, not only childhood cancer, but any childhood immunity disorder or disease that a child may have that impacts their immune system. They can go to this place and play freely. It's extremely sanitized to the level of a hospital. So there's community there that you can find that you might not be able to find at a school because they don't clean as well, and your child's susceptible to being sick, or at a park, etc. So there's a whole bunch of community resources that you're able to find after being diagnosed with something big. Just ask for it, look for it, Google it, do what you think is best for your child.
Yeah, it sounds like also for yourself.
That too.
Find resource. Yeah, because that's both of those are dual supports. And it's funny you brought up the Children's Healing Center, because we're going to have them on Facebook Live in a couple of weeks. On the 15th. So we're doing a little collaborative to highlight their work. It's very important here.
That was a very great outlet for Maya, as well as Gilda's Club's Noogie Land. When she was in treatment, we went there all the time. So that and Gilda's Club, it kind of saved us.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
I'm going a little crazy. Stir crazy.
Yeah, right. Because then you're also isolated sometimes.
Yes. Like I said, this was before pre-COVID, so everybody is masking up and social distancing now. But cancer families, they've been doing it for because they have to.
Right.
So they're used to it, so they know what it's.
Yeah, and the value of being able to connect when you can. Then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to those others who get it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, all right. I think that's all I have. Do you have any last words or thoughts?
I don't think so. Maybe if something does happen to your kid, document it. It's something that they can always look back on. I wasn't able to think about documenting, our experience until we were already halfway through it. Just the busyness of it. I would have liked to, create a Facebook group just to help update people. There's so many community resources that you can use that I wasn't aware of just because I was so into it. So just try to slow down, take one day at a time, and it'll all work out, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. Find some way to document it, like with pictures or writing or something. Yeah.
Notebook, scrapbook. Yeah.
Yeah. And that actually, people often say, people ask me, what can I do for you? And it's hard to sort of know what to tell people, but that's something that could be very helpful as someone helping with that documentation or putting the scrapbook together for you when you might not have enough time, that it could be really helpful. Yeah. And supportive. That's very cool. Great idea. Thanks. Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing your story and Jeremiah's story with us. Just so grateful to you for being willing to just be open about how you were feeling and how it was. And so glad that Jerimya is doing well now and at school. And hello, what she can come say goodbye with us.
You want to say
what's her name?
This is Juliet. This is Jeremiah's little sister.
Hi, Juliet.
Hi.
Guess what? I have a sister named Juliet too.
Oh, that's cool. She has a name just like you.
Yes, that's a great name. How old are you, Juliet?
How old are you? 3. I will be 4 on Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday. Very cool.
Thank you.
Oh, you got a dinosaur too. Do you want to help us say goodbye?
You want to help say goodbye?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say my little extra here, and then we'll wave and say goodbye to everybody. Okay. All right. So for all of you out there watching, thank you for joining us today. We're so grateful for your presence here, for our opportunity to create community, have these great conversations. Again, if you have questions for us, or you're new to a cancer or a grief journey, please give us a call. We would love to connect you with our free support community, 453-8300. We answer phones from 9 a.m. until about 7 p.m. or give us an email on our website at gildasclubgr.org. I think that's just about it. And so we'll see you guys next week. And Juliet, you ready to wave? Yeah? Say goodbye to everybody. See you later. Have a good week.